Hello and welcome. Hope you guys are all well. Whoops, careful. I got this rocket mouse here. Hope you're well. Namaste, Tom. I see you've been busy in the chat already. Having some trouble with restreaming YouTube? Many others sure have been fighting with it. You know, those who are share insightful wisdom and creators of YouTube hate it belong. Yeah, man, you know, YouTube is what it is, huh? It's I suppose you is like a good metaphor for the bottom end tube, the bottom end. It's like, it's not this end of the tube, it's the other end, you know, YouTube. It's probably a good analogy. Yeah, as analogies go. Namaste, everybody else that's arriving. Hope you are well. How are you doing on your end, Tom? How's life treating you? Are you smiling? Are you good? Are you well? Hope you've been looking after yourself. I've got a good cup of cacao here. Oh, damn, but it's good. Dang. Just let me adjust my mic quickly. So that must be better. That must surely be better. Let me check my people. See the audio. As the audio is moving there, it seems like it's moving all right. That's really what we're looking for. A little bit more of that. And I think that's what we're looking for. I think that's it. That's optimal. Let's check the Maono software link. Software EQ situation seems like it's good enough. How's the audio on your end? Is it okay? It's not too loud. It's not too soft. It's not overbearing. It's not vibrating your speakers and causing damage to your hardware, is it? The other end, yeah, Tomry, most definitely. Speaking about the other end, that's what we're going to be talking about today, in a sense. The other end. The other end of the reality spectrum that we're facing when we're looking at this this dilemma, how these dark wizards, these dark magicians are using our AI systems. And excellent. Butterflies are attracted to you. You're often surrounded by them. Hanging on your rock in the river. That rock sounds pretty fun place to hang out, man. Hanging by your rock. A bunch of folks floated by Saturday and you were smoking a joint in the midst of 15 of them. Sweet. Yeah, man. You didn't share? What's wrong with you, dude? You should have stopped them and said, listen, you can't come past. Please pull over. Pull them over and say, like we need to do a THC test. Sorry, you are THC deficient. You are THC deficient. You're all THC deficient. We have to fix this immediately. You cannot travel on this river being THC deficient. Should have given them a THC screening. You got to be there with a yellow jacket, all official, like, you know. No, the rules are you have to have enough THC in your blood to be on the river, you know. Anyway, yeah, the occult agenda behind transhumanism, digital IDs and AI. And this is something that's been sort of like hatching in the back of my mind. I feel very strongly against AI, very strongly against AI and digital IDs, because it's an externalization of AI into our worlds, isn't it? And how this relates to the transhumanist agenda, which has been something that's been close to my heart since I was a little boy. And I've been sort of counting the days and the weeks and the months and the years towards us getting to the point where we're going to be facing up in a fairly diligent way with those that sell out and those that don't. So I want to get this right, baby. I want to look pretty for the camera. There we go. Wow, 25 years. It must be that rock must hold a lot of history for you, man. A lot of history. So yeah, just exactly where we are at in this modern day and age. I don't think a lot of us have taken full stock. Namaste, Hollow Bone Hawk. Always an honor to have you here. Sorry, I was like so disjointed earlier. I was trying to run around and get my dogs out, have them pee pee, get myself a good old cuppa. You can't do a live show without a cup of cocoa. I did a couple of live shows with a beer the other day. That was quite a lot of fun. Just a little bit of ale. I don't really drink much, but I don't get drunk. Just had a little ale. It was quite nice, quite refreshing, to wet the pellet, as it were, the beak. But yeah, getting onto the topic for tonight, and welcome to those of you that are joining. Namaste, Om Shanti Shanti. I hope you guys are having a great day. Digital IDs. I can't say enough about digital IDs. All these biometrics that they're putting onto us, and just exactly how extensive the biometrics, right? And what we're facing up to when we're facing up to these biometric IDs, because I think like people don't realize, right? That sorcery and witchcraft are at the heart of this whole agenda. And it might not seem very obvious. And I want to pull you guys in on different elements of magic, right? So we understand how the principle of correspondence is fundamental to all natural magic. Natural magic really heavily depends upon the principle of correspondence. The same can be said for witchcraft to an even greater extent, because witchcraft is depending upon the qualities of herbs, the qualities of certain stones, the qualities of certain metals, and using certain shapes, stones, herbs, very often plants. Witchcraft tends to be very much nature oriented, especially the Wiccan branch of it, because it does come from the Druidic school of thought. A lot of the knowledge lectures would have come from the original Druidic school of thought, and they were very, very much nature worshippers. And so there's this field of correspondence between all different elements within the earth, different crystal forms, different plants, and different beings, and the different consciousness that each being holds as a field of correspondence. And we know this. These are the basis for constructing spells for witchcraft. Sorcery has got to do with channeling beings, right? Specific beings. Using, once again, very often, the sorcerers will use the field of correspondence, the correct time of day, the correct star at the correct place, the correct amulet made out of the correct metal with the correct sigil, chanting the correct names, burning the correct incense. These sciences are quite specific. And magic would be doing something quite similar, where maybe it's not so much about channeling the being, it's more about reconstructing the space around oneself. Shamanism would be more about going into oneself and allowing the evocative experience of the spirit to wash through one's consciousness. But they all come down to a fairly similar point. And just looking at the way this field of correspondence operates will give us, yeah, exactly. Nature has a way of speaking the fundamental languages. Henry? No, Henry. No. He keeps coming and getting himself stuck under my chair. And when I move my chair, then his little tail gets stuck under the chair and he goes, "Ooh, ooh, ooh, ooh." And I can't see what's behind the chair. And come on, don't lie behind the chair there, dude. I can't see you. So anyway, I think he's not there. I put my hand there. I don't feel him. And I move the chair and then he's going to be squealing like a little, like I've attacked him. So anyway, a lot of these fields of correspondences and these charts that are used in various different systems are pitched harmonically towards particular archetypal frequencies and resonance, which are fundamentally within us. And there are other parts of witchcraft, which are in the field of augury, which is also well known in most pagan traditions as it's field of magic as well. Namaste, Vincent. How are you doing? Hope you're good. Hope you're well. Welcome. And how are you doing today? um, Amisus. That's sweet. Ima and Jesus in one word. And so these fields of correspondence that sort of are connecting us to life, to the universe around us through this mystical, profound chain of correspondences is the key to understanding sort of the mystic state and different states of mind as they relate to different particular aspects of reality and our place in the world and different worlds. Shalom, shalom. So when we're looking at these data centers, and I wanted to start with the data centers, I wanted us to recognize that the data centers are also, in a very subtle way, harmonically pitched and tuned in to these frequencies. And I want you to think about harmonics and frequencies. So the different data centers, I'm sure, each have different frequencies that they're pitched to, right? All data centers have unique harmonic pitch resonance. Are those the right terms? Let me see. Let me pull this up for you guys. Share screen share. Yeah, we're gonna do it, baby. We're gonna do it, baby. So there we go. So what we're looking at here basically is this. Data centers do not share a single unique harmonic pitch resonance, but they do generate complex electrical acoustic harmonic distortions. And each one, so I like the way they twist my words. You see, all data centers have unique harmonic pitch resonance. I didn't say that they share a single, right? I just said that they all have unique. So you notice how AI tries to twist this for me, and I find these little slurs very subtle but very, very careful. They try to contradict me, but then they have to add in a single unique harmonic pitch resonance, which is not actually what I said or asked them. But in the process of answering that, they do generate complex electrical and acoustic harmonic distortions. And so we're going to change the words now. Each data center has its own and let's see. Data centers create complex electrical and acoustic harmonic distortions because of thousands of nonlinear IT loads and variable speed cooling motors, chop current waveforms, and vibrate at multiple frequencies. These combined signatures strain local power grids. My point being that the data centers have a fairly unique vibratory pattern, resonant field, each of them. And I think there's something quite powerful and quite telling about that when you think about it. Because if you can design the infrastructure that goes into a data center, and they don't all have the same infrastructure, different cooling systems, different speed RAMs, different speed VRAMs. They use a lot of VRAM, don't they? The NVIDIA chipset. The NVIDIA has been building a lot of chipsets for the data centers. For example, they use a lot of the VRAM for that. There's a lot of processing, images, videos, and stuff. Especially imagine the data centers that are running YouTube. Heavy VRAM data centers must be running millions or billions of gigabytes of VRAM, in series. So probably in series and in parallel. You imagine the speed at which they're processing different loads simultaneously. So, Tomru, I agree with you. Namaste, Darlene. How are you doing? I hope you're well. Hope you're having a good day. Sending you all big love. Yeah, you know, my little 10-year-old boy is getting on that. He's into right viruses. But here's the point I want to make. Each data center has got its own particular harmonic resonant frequency, field of frequencies. It's producing its own pitch and its own harmonics. Sort of like a being. As somebody who can read people's energy, if I tune into someone's energy, I feel a vibrational field. And I feel a whole lot of different pitches and vibrations in that field. And I can sort of hear it as an acoustic vibrating. And that gives me a sense of who that person is. And then I can touch that pitch and I can touch that person. Like if I want to like see where they are or look at them or whatever, you know. And so that's how our internal Visuddhi psychic faculties work. It's got to do with these fields of vibration, and each unique being has its own resonant field. And it's like we've got resonant fields because each organ's creating its own field. Each system, the electronic frequencies running through the central nervous system, different parts of the brain, different parts of the gut, all having neural infrastructure, all resonating on different frequencies. And then the hormonal systems are resonating at different frequencies, and the DNA resonating at different frequencies, and it produces a proverbial soup of different vibrational fields that are all sort of mixed into a fundamental super field of vibration. And this is what a data center is. Now, the reason I'm pointing all of this out is let me go and take a little look at what I got here in a little looksy, booksy, cooksy. Did you ever know that he was looking at a boopsy? Okay, so let's look at some of them, right? Meta. And I've made a note here yesterday. So I'll go and take a look at the note I made. So you've got Hyperion. Hyperion is Meta's massive 5 gigawatts. It's AI data center campus in Richland Parish, Louisiana. Then we've got Prometheus. Now we know Hyperion, right? Like, listen to the names. We'll get back to the names. We know who Prometheus is, right? He stole the fire. It's a trickster. Prometheus is Meta's massive multi-gigawatt AI data center cluster. Then we got Daedalus, which is another one, right? Ancient Greece. Which is Greece's flagship national supercomputing and data infrastructure system. Then we've got Atlas. This is commonly used as an internal or regional moniker for heavyweight storage and infrastructure grids. Then we've got Minerva, frequency used by enterprise and historical supercomputing projects. We've got Kronos, right? King of the Titans. Minerva, goddess. Atlas, we know who Atlas is, goddess. God holding up the earth. Daedalus. Olympus. Kronos is popularly adopted by system administrators and faculty planners for core processing or primary backbone units. Then we've got Olympus, often utilized as an overreaching name for major multi-racking data halls or core management systems. We've got Taurus, a planned 50 megawatt data center development in Colorado Springs. We've got Pantheon, which is a cute name. I think isn't that Europe? Croatia. A massive 1 gigawatt AI data center and innovation campus scheduled for Croatia. Then we've got Athena, a frequent designation for high intelligence or analytics server nodes. We've got Hermes, right? This is for the routing and the data pipelines. We've got Apollo. This is for the solar-powered operations. And we know Hermes is obviously a trickster god. This is Tahuti or Thoth in ancient Egypt. Apollo, this has got to do with light, right? And prophecy, I think, was Apollo's one of his main gifts. This is solar-powered operations, managing the solar networks. Zeus, obviously we know Zeus, king of the gods, symbolizing supreme power grids. This is for running all the power grids, the electrical grids. We got the Aegis. Aegis is the shield, isn't it? I think it was a shield of protection. Who used the Aegis shield? It's ancient Greeks. This is protection and secure infrastructure used for data protection. Then we've got Kerberos. the guardian hound of the underworld. I like that one. This is for security authentication clusters. We got Pandora. This is experimental high-risk computing architecture. I'm not quite sure what that means. Experimental high-risk computing architecture. Just think about those words. Whatever that's supposed to be, it relates to the idea of Pandora quite well. Icarus. This is edge testing or high ambition experimental cluster moniker. This is like for AI to test the efficiency of edge ranking for the algorithms. Odin, we know who Odin is, right? God of universal knowledge. What was Odin for? That's for surveillance. Odin, surveillance. Then we've got Hell, which is repository referencing. That's for like basically Google servers kind of actions, not just Google, but that Google servers would be using Hell repositories, I'm sure, for the searches. We've got Hephaestus. That's the blacksmith. Was that a dwarf? Was that a dwarf? One of the giants? Dwarf and blacksmithing. Was it a god? God of fire. Anyway, a fire deity blacksmith. This has got to do with heat load hardware, right? We got Metis. This is the Titan. Metis is the Titan. This is one of the Titans from under the ocean, as far as I remember. That's for memory storage, managing memory storage. So, there I've just named a few of the data centers and what they're called. What do you notice? What do you notice? Like, well, it's very occult when you think about it. When you get right down to it, it's very esoteric. All the names are esoteric. It's all occult. It's all based upon the Titans and the Greek gods. And there are a whole lot of others. I've just chosen like 20, 21 or 22 odd off of the top most common ones around. If you go and do your research and dig deeper, you'll see that they're all named, and they're named after a lot of the Nephilim beings. You'll find the Titans, many of the monsters, many of the scary, gruesome creatures is what a lot of these monikers and a lot of these data centers are named after, which is quite interesting. They're extremely power hungry. They eat all the electricity. They use all the water. They cause a lot of harm. They cause an extremely large amount of harm. Now, do you find it funny that Greece and Europe and Ireland, what's happening in Europe with the cow farming? Let me take a look. European farmers protest against limits of dairy cows. That's just one of the things off the top of my mind. Let's bring that back onto the screen. So it's been big in the news, hasn't it? European farmers, protesting mandatory whole herd cattle culling protocols. I want you to read those words: whole herd cattle culling protocols. Right? Now, they say that it's for the outbreak of lumpy skin disease. But the farmers don't seem to agree. I think the farmers are the first ones to be curious, to be interested in the health of their stock, more so than the government, which is interesting. And so this is the rules of 100% of so basically vaccination. They're trying to force all the farmers into vaccinating their cows. This is really what it's about. So there's export restrictions as well. The the broader EU agricultural policies, for reducing methane global emissions. Oh, I spelled that wrong. Anyway, who gives a damn? Cattle farming. So you'll see that this is connected. So the European Union has been addressing cattle-related methane emissions and emerging livestock strategies, basically making less farms, less cows, basically. And they're using financial incentives and eco schemes. Don't you find that cute? To reward farmers. Well, I think that a lot of what's going on, so the alliance, the EU, an international goal to cut 30% of all of the livestock farming in Europe by 2030. 30%. Right. So now I'm sure it makes a lot more sense to you what's going on, right? This is one of their strategies. Create a little disease, make a big song and dance about this disease as if it's really, really dangerous, and then force all the farmers to mass cull their herds, right? And that's why you got all these big protests going on all over the show at the moment. And while they're doing that, though, let's just get clear about this. They are building super data farms that use a lot of energy. So they're now going to have to increase the energy on the energy grid, right, in order to power these data farms. So I want you to think about the irony of what we're talking about here. They're reducing the food production so that they can increase the AI producing energy hungry needs so that they can turn the world into an AI bubble and have all our lives mapped out by AI. And so this ties in very closely to the digital ID. Because the digital ID, I mean, who's going to be scanning that digital ID? Well, we know it's going to be it's clearly going to be the Namaste, Kali. How are you doing? Yeah, Kali, the poisoning of the rivers, that's like, that's a thing that's been going on for a while. Yeah, pretty ugly. And, you know, by the way, how are you doing, Kali? I hope you're well. Welcome. Lovely to have you here. Corporate takeover of food production. Yep, that's it, Tom. They want to cause famines worldwide. That's their mission, right? And that's their goal. Let's call it what it is. So we've got this like situation running where we've got these mafia organizations that are out to save the planet and keep it green, stop the production of methane from cows, because methane is apparently a global warming agent, if you believe the global warming myth to begin with. And let's call it a myth because there isn't actually enough evidence to suggest it. It's just a hypothesis that's been popularized by science that want to get money for grants, right? If you got a doctorate or a PhD and you want to get money for a grant, you have to kiss the right ass, and that's the ass you need to kiss. Let's face it. Gaz, namaste, dear Gaz, brother. How are you doing? I hope you're well. 250 years, hell on life, hell on earth. Well, there's nothing gentle about that. Yeah, 1984. I was talking about 1984 the other day. So, you know, they want to get this AI system controlling our information, not just controlling our information, but scanning our digital ID. Now, I want you to imagine what a digital ID involves. And we're going to tie this in with transhumanism. And we're going to look at the occult magical applications and how this relates to witchcraft and the principle of correspondence. Stay tuned. Keep watching. It's all coming, baby. So I want you to imagine that you've got these AI systems that are being managed by all these different monikers, and they're all like different harmonic frequencies, and they're all tuned and pitched to certain vibrational fields. And they've all been named magically, right? Using these old names. These names are magical invocative names. I want you to think about that, right? If you want to do an invocation, a magical spell, right? And you want to do a magical spell for let's say you want to manufacture a magical item, and you're going to make something. You might invoke Hephaestus, right? And you might then do a spell. You would then invoke Odin, right? To bring the universal wisdom and the knowledge, right? Just think about that for a moment. Yeah. And if you were going to make this for magical purposes of protection, you might be, if it's protecting you against like the underworld or spirits or something, you might invoke Cerebros once you're forming the amulet, right? And once you've done the amulet, you might make a rune for Aegis and put the Aegis rune onto the amulet, which you would then wear. Just think about it. And you would then have this protective amulet that you've made. And these are names that you would invoke and you would turn into runes, and you would put these names onto and into the work that you're doing as a magical spell. The same as if you're using plants for those particular qualities and making a potion. You would be invoking it with names, those names or other names like that, right? If you are making an amulet to improve your communication and your commercial potential for business, you might use Hermes. You might use Hermes and Zeus, right? And you might use Pandora so that you can go into the deep, haze, darky places and be able to be protected. So you can see how these are magical names that are used magically for witchcraft, magically for spells. Sorcerers can use these to pull beings from the nether and pull them into their physical environment and utilize them, force them to do their bidding, right? So these are magical names, effectively. These ancient names from our mythologies, they are what you would invoke in a magic circle, or a witch would be invoking, probably be invoking Hecate. Is there a data center called Hecate? That's an interesting. Is there a data center called Hecate? Hecate Energy. So there isn't a prominent data center called Hecate, but there's Hecate L. So this is an artificial intelligence firm named Hecate L. Operates software and enterprise platforms. So it's not a data center, it's a software operation. Hecate Energy is a prominent power developer building large-scale energy campuses and hybrid solar storage sites explicitly designed to supply electricity for AI and data centers. So we've got Hecate Energy here, and then we've got Hecate L here. So isn't that interesting? Oh, I didn't show you. I'm so sorry, ladies and gentlemen. So there's a Hecate L, right? Artificial intelligence firm which operates a software and enterprises platforms. It's not actually a data center. And then we've got Hecate Energy, the prominent power developer building large-scale energy campuses and hybrid solar storage sites explicitly designed to supply electricity to AI and data centers. So you can see that's like interesting, just take a shot at the dark. Of course, they're going to use Hecate. Of course, you need something to control the magical power, the electricity and the energy. Duh. How are you going to pull that force out of the cosmos? You're going to use electricity. So it gives us an idea of what they're doing. It's a kind of large-scale magic that we're witnessing. And these are powerful spellcasters. Astara Lee, namaste. How are you doing? I hope you are well. Hope you're thriving. Welcome. It's lovely to have you. Which gods are these? Greek. Yes, Kali. They're Greek as well as Titans. The Titans were standing against the gods. They were the children of the gods, and they were like the what we call the Grigori were Titans in the ancient Greek as well as the Igigi of the Sumerian, which is the same as the Grigori. Although the Grigori have a term called the Watchers. That's specifically what they translate them to. They were a particular class that were here to watch over us. Various other gods and goddesses are all part of that little scheme. So just getting back to the track, right? We've got these data farms that are all magically named, right? Okay, that in itself is like a coincidence, right? Yeah, sure, it's a coincidence. But let's just pretend it's a coincidence. And we've got all these data farms working together cohesively, creating like a grid. And now they want to bring in the digital ID, right? So let me break it down, people. The dig. I want you to do dig. The dig. You dig? Yeah, I hope you dig. You dig with a spade, right? The dig. Yeah? Dig it all. Dig it all. Come on, man. Dig it all up. You dig a deep, deep hole. Dig it all up. Dig it all. Digital, right? Digital. ID. ID. Well, we know what the I is, your I. And the D, the door. The D is Dalet, right? Alpha, beta, delta. The delta. The Dalet, the door. The doorway to your soul. Dig it all. Through the I, door. So they want to get a doorway into your psyche, into your soul. And they want to dig it all out through your eyes. They want to mine your information through the digital ID. And that's why they need your retinal scan, right? Anal. Why anal? Just think about it. Think about what we're talking about here. We're talking about the root chakra that contains all the knowledge, right? So they want to take all of your right anal away from you. They want to take your retinal information and they want to claim it. Now, here's the thing about the retinal scans. What we don't know, right? We know that iridology is a thing. We know that iridology is a well-established practice. You can go to an iridologist and they can tell you what nutrient deficiencies you have. They can tell you fairly accurately if you have illness in your organs or what's wrong and which organs are weak and which organs are strong. My girlfriend, where is she? Are you with us, sweetheart? She might not be with us. She's had a very hard day, probably hanging with her teenager. But if she's with us, she would tell you she had a big giggle the other day. She said that she went to, she lives in Constantia, which is a la-di-da-di-da-di area. I live in a pretty la-di-da-di-da-di area. She's in the even more la-di-da-di-da-di area. She runs a center, a spiritual center there, a healing therapist's place. And she said that they were having these posters up where people could go and get photos of their eyes with their loved one's eyes and get a poster made for their eye. Yes. I'm telling them what you said to me the other day. And so people are having their eye blown up. And what was the joke that you made the other day? A few days ago, she was like, that's like an invasion of your privacy, basically. Like, you don't want people to look at a picture of your eye and know, like, oh, this person has a propensity towards, like, colon cancer, or this one has that, or this one has piles, or this one has like a liver infection, or this one has like swollen like bladder, or this one has like a weak heart or whatever. You can tell all of this by your eyes. It's basically, if you have a photograph of your eye blown up, you are sharing all of your medical information to the world. And anybody that's trained can look at that photograph and tell you all about your medical. But it goes further than that. They can tell you about your organs. They can tell you about your illnesses. They can tell you about your propensities towards health, but they can also tell you about your psychology. So it's like having your medical file open for the world to see, with a psychological guide to who you are, exposing everything about you. You're basically naked. And so they've made it trendy for people to have their eye scanned up and made large, as opposed to in their home, so that everybody can come into their home and say, oh, let's see, you got colon issues, you got that. Oh, you suffer from fear. That's what's going on with your kidneys. And your liver, oh, you're an angry person, aren't you? Better not piss you off. Angry little fucker, this one. Oh, look at this one's got a heart. Oh, they probably suffer from like anxiety, And, well, there you go, Carly. Good to have black eyes. Black invisible eyes. You can't see my eyes. So, but anyway, the point I'm making is, when they're scanning your eyes, and let me share this with you just so you can see what I'm talking about, right? Modern science has come to terms with this and recognized eyes in retina carry much information about personality traits. There's science, there's so-called hard science that has come to terms and recognized all of this, and you can see it here, right? So study focus on the iris, the colored part of the eye, and eye movements, right? So when they're scanning your retina, they're scanning for micro eye movements, and they're scanning for focus on the iris. Sorry, instead of the retina. My mistake, the iris. Why did I say retina? It's the iris. To study links to personality. Research suggests specific iris crypts or patterns in everyday gaze behaviors correlate with traits like trust, impulsivity, though they do not define the full personality. And this is what's been allowed. And here you can even find some information about this on Google. So someone can look at the picture of your eye on your wall that's blown up like a painting, and take out their phone and Google and figure out something about, like, thicker tissues. Linked to warm, trustful, expressive behavior. Contractions and furrows linked to more impulsive tendencies. Shared biology. So they're able to tell quite a lot about your genetic profile as well, just by looking at your iris. Now you suddenly understand why your biometric information is so important, and why your phone has got an eye biometric scanner on it, right? Your fingerprint is more than sufficient for security. I want you guys to understand this. Fingerprint is more than sufficient for security. The fact that they are scanning your eyes should make you concerned. If any of you have ever used your eye scanner, turn that damn thing off. Deactivate it. I don't even put a fingerprint into my phone. I use the old-fashioned PIN system. If somebody has a photograph, high-res photograph of your eye, they can unlock your phone. Think about it. Why would you want that? It's easier for them to get an image of your eye to unlock your phone than for them to figure out your PIN if you make your own PIN. So, yeah, exactly, Carly. It's like getting booked for a crime. But anyway, here's the point. Now the digital ID is going to carry all of this information. Now, I don't know if you guys have noticed, South African banking apps are pretty strict. If I'm getting a new phone at some point, because it's time for a new phone. My old phone's got the screen's got like a thing in the screen, and it's got like a line running down the phone. And I've had that phone for a few years, so I suppose it's time to get a new phone, rather than repair that old screen, because it will cost me so much more to get the screen repaired. And then I'll need to replace the battery at some point and the plug and everything. And by the time I've spent all that money, I may as well just got a new phone that comes with a warranty, 2-year warranty, and I don't have to spend any more money on a phone. But anyway, keep the old phone as a spare for if I need to send the new phone in, you know. But here's the important part. When you are using your device to scan your eyes, which we have to do for our banking apps, this is like severely invasive technology, right? Not just are they getting a full imprint of your personality and a full imprint of your physiology. And sure, you might be like, well, there's not many scientists in the mainstream that the information has come out with. But I want you to understand that these AI supercomputers have got databases not just of the mainstream information. They've got more information in the databases than what we're aware of. So there's been all sorts of military research, for example, with regards to scanning eyes, because it's national security. Do you think they didn't know 30 years ago that you could scan someone's eye and tell about their psychology and use it to be able to tell the personality potential traits? Namaste, Mooney. How are you? I hope you're well. Oh, my screen's going all weird. What is Mooney saying? Yeah, data centers to summon the power of the gods. Well, exactly. The power of the gods is the magical element behind the work that they're doing, but that's just on the internal spiritual field. But now when we look, and that is so on point, that is so real. When we look at that with the physical component of the data scanning of the eye and the iris and collecting the information about our personalities, they are then putting our personal information into a database, right? The AI will then know how to deal with each one of us individually. I want you to think about this. So the AI will be able to have a scan of your iris, have all the background information from the latest physical analogies and knowledge and iridology loaded in, and be able to diagnose. This is what they're doing. Like, they've got AI systems, and I can tell you this with absolute surety. I know for a fact there are companies that are building AI systems that can read scans, right? When you go to hospital and you get an internal body scan, they got AIs now that are assisting technologies for reading these scans. There's a lot of money in it. And it's not in the future, it's happening now. It's already live. It's already happening. There's a lot of money riding on these stocks as we speak. And I know from obvious, I can't discuss why I know, but I know. And obviously, any work that I do for any clients is private. But this is a big thing. And there's more going on than this, right? Just from what I've heard from people I've spoken to, and what I've found out in my research to confirm whether what I hear is true or not, it goes over and beyond that. So they're able to get a full lowdown program on your physiology. This has got to do with physical illness, right? Based upon your physiology, the AI will know what to sell you. I want you to think about this. To maximize your illness. Why wouldn't AI want to sell you stuff to maximize your illness? Because the AI is going to be linked into advertising platforms that sell pharmaceutical medicine. Please tell me you're listening. Please tell me you're paying attention. So you will be advertised at in the most effective way to advertise at you by the AI, reading your propensities and your emotional and your personality traits, and figuring out exactly what kind of advert to put in front of you to affect your psychology so that you will buy this or that. And the AI ad will then be able to customize an advert just for you with a high efficacy rate. And the AI will be able to test different data models on you. And that one works quite well. It will start to become an intelligent learning machine that will use its machine learning to customize advertising till you eat what it tells you to eat, and you drink what it tells you to drink, and you buy what it tells you to buy. And it will do this for many, many people around the world. Maybe not for the more intelligent people, but this is where this is going to go. And then you will be instructed to eat the food that will cause the illnesses most likely to come out based upon your genetic information that they are reading in the biometrics through the digital ID and through your retinal scan. You will then get sick, and then the AI will go and find the perfect medicine that you need that will make you addicted and advertise that at you. Just think about how homogenized humanity will become. Everybody will be sick and everybody will need pills. And imagine the money and the power and the control that will flow into super corporate hands, making the poor poorer and the rich richer. That divide will just get worse and worse and worse. Namaste. How you doing? Uloma. I hope you're well. And you're right. They're selling our information to these, but I want you to understand why they're selling our information. Because our information is being cataloged and checked and researched, and data models are being built. The only information that they need now is our retinal information and our biometrics. Once they have all of our biometrics, they will be able to have a detailed dossier on each human being that the AI has ready to review. And then it will be able to, YouTube is a training model system for AIs to learn to make digital media, right? So AI will be able to make digital news media for you, digital advertising for you, digital entertainment media that will help you to think in the way that it wants you to think. There will be a homogeneous model that human beings are supposed to think about and the way we're supposed to behave and our personality. It will look at your personality profile, your genetic variances, as well as your organs and your physical health, and it will calibrate exactly what you need as digital entertainment and brainwashing and advertising, 1984 stuff, in order to bring you to the homogeneous state that it wants you at. Also, it will be able to flag up different people. This person, they'll be able to flag you up onto an AI system. This person's likely to be a protester. Put them in a category and watch them, right? Enhanced. So you'd be getting tracked, enhanced tracking, every movement, every communication. They won't need to track everybody. They'll know who to track. They'll look at your eyes and go, you are likely to be a threat to the government. Put them in a category. When it comes to the government making new laws, it's watch these people. And the AI will be able to calculate any changes in your routine, changes in the way that you walk. I want you to listen to what I'm saying. Cameras everywhere will be watching the way you walk. You know that they can determine who you are by the way you walk? These cameras that follow you around in the cities. That's how AI calibrated they are. So they'll be able to notice any change in the pattern of your walking. They'll be able to notice in your retina when something changes. If you're becoming frustrated and angry at what's happening in the world around you, it will show through your eyes. And the next time you take a retinal scan to go online, because you'll probably be scanning your retinas just to get access to the internet, it will notice the variances and the changes in your eye until it will have a police alert. This person's likely to do something. Remember that Minority Report film with Tom Cruise? It ain't so far-fetched. Not at all. Only they don't have a bunch of psychics in the swimming pool. They have an AI system scanning your retina. And as if that's not enough, I want you to think about it. If you can change the retina, can you change the personality? What do you guys think in the chat? Right? If the personality is electric egregores, not just mimicking gods, Kali, but becoming a chariot for these beings and entities to move freely in this world. I want you to think about that. And being able to harness the power and the energy of that being to manipulate humanity through these systems that we're talking about here. It sounds pretty intense. It sounds almost far-fetched, but I don't think it's as far-fetched as what we would believe. I think we're reaching into a whole new world of possibility when we're looking at these retinal scans, the AI systems, and all of these data centers being put up everywhere, the amount of computing that there will be. And so the last question that I asked you guys, if you affect the iris, does it affect your state of mind? Now, I'm betting Google's going to say no. If one changes the iris, does that affect the organs? Because I want you to understand how carefully the system is wired. So they will tell you that it doesn't affect right. So I want you to see this. Now I want you to see, let's test AI. Let's do a little bit of AI testing here. Right. So if one changes the iris, it doesn't change the organs. Okay. Does the iris affect the frequencies of light that reach pineal? I forget what that external organ is off the pineal that to generate hormones, because you know that the iris controls the amount of light entering the eye by adjusting pupil size. It does not filter or change the specific light frequencies or wavelength that reach the retina, influencing the pineal gland. Loss drive hormone regulation is handled downstream by specialist retinal cells. Right. So light-driven hormone regulation is handled downstream by specialist retinal cells. Right. Now, if iris is changed, does this affect the amount of light to reach the pineal? Yes. So changing the iris, which controls the size of the pupil opening, alters the amount of light entering the eye, which directly affects the retinal signals sent to the pineal gland. I just want you to think about this. And so this can suppress or trigger hormonal production like melatonin, serotonin, and other things, right? So there's food for thought here. So if these laser scans are somehow affecting your iris, and they can somehow cause inflammation in the iris that you might not be aware of, that could restrict the amount of light that gets to your hormonal centers, right? Or that could restrict the light that actually generates serotonin and melatonin in your system. And those two hormones are fundamental for generating all the other hormones. You can become affected hormonally. Now, the hormonal balances will affect your organ health. They will also affect your emotional well-being and state of mind. They will also affect the frequencies of your central nervous system and exactly what kind of thinking processes you are having. They will directly affect the frequency of your brain algorithms, and whether you're experiencing stress or peace will be regulated by your brain algorithms. Your ability to concentrate deeply or not, very much attached to serotonin and melatonin, how awake you are or how asleep you are. I want you to think of how sensitive the eyes are, and you're scanning different frequencies of light. Now, here's the other thing. Right. Let's take it one step deeper. Let's go one step deeper, ladies and gentlemen. So, I lost my page. I'm going to go back. And so what are we going to say now? Let's play with Google. Let's play with the baby. So, does different frequency of light affect hormone generation? Okay, so here you can see what we're getting at. I want you to understand how subtle the systems are. So different frequencies of light significantly affect human hormone generation, right? Shortwave frequencies like blue, right? Like, blue light, 460 to 480 nanometers. Hold on. Isn't blue like 600 nanometers? Just let me check this. Blue light is 600 nanometers. Is AI really feeding us so much nonsense? Incorrect. Blue light has a shorter wavelength measuring 300. Oh, sorry. That is red light. Duh. Okay. Yeah. I was back to front. Sorry. The nanometers is not the frequency, but it's the length of the wavelength. Yeah. Sorry. My mistake. So the photoreceptors in the eyes called melanopsin are stimulated, right, by blue light, for example. So you'll notice this is why they've got us with these blue light bulbs. But now I want you to imagine having particular lasers shot into your eyes, particular frequencies, how that's going to affect your hormonal generation. So they can literally plug themselves into your hormonal centers and change the way your bodies are generating hormones. So before you go onto the internet, if you have to have a retinal scan, they'll be able to affect the state of mind that you enter the internet on. And your emotional state will be toned as per the frequencies of light. And that will open you up to propensity towards being affected in different ways. So this is just a light crash course on just how important the eyes are, right? And how fundamental it is to understand and get a grip with how fundamentally important it is for us to recognize that when we give somebody the power to stick their lasers into our eyes, they are A, changing our mind, B, changing our emotional state through our hormones, C, changing our physiology through our hormone changes, because hormones change physiology. What do you think causes menopause in women, dude? Hormones. Come on. What do you think causes old age? What do you think causes us to be young and healthy and grow healthy? Hormones. Your hormones determine your health. It's fundamental. And each organ's development is based upon hormonal regulation. So they can affect you through the retinal scans. But not only can they affect you, they can download your psychological propensities, your characteristics, who you are, and they can download your physiological report of your physical health in your body. Imagine how much power an organization can have over you if they have an AI being able to scan all of that information, and based upon that information, it will know what frequencies to hit your eyes with. I want you to think about that. Because now not only is it got all of your information, but the next time you go online and it scans your eyes to make sure that your digital ID is who you say you are, right? Can all be done through the webcam. Probably if you turn your webcam off, you won't get access to the internet. You turn your webcam off on your phone, they will say digital ID can't be confirmed. I bet you this is what's going to happen one day. We're not that far away from it. We're 1 to 2 years away from this becoming a potential eventuality if we're not careful. So your rights will be out the window. You want to get access to the internet, and you'll need the internet, right? You will need it because all banking will be done through the internet. All money exchange will be going through the internet. Without the internet, you won't get access to any entertainment. You will not be able to speak to your loved ones, your family, or your friends. They'll do away with cell phone towers. It will just become 5G, 6G, 7G towers, giving you a broadband connection. Everything will be running through that. Your digital ID will be your access to communications, or you'll be living on your own in a little bubble. You might not even be able to open your front door without a digital ID. This is something to think about. So now that I've sufficiently scared you to understand how important it is not to give your retinal information to anyone. It's bad enough that my bank forced a photograph of me. When I went to go and get my bank card sorted, they needed my information. They were like, no, we can't give it to you. You need to do this photo. And I said, like, what kind of photo is it? They said, it's an in-depth photo. I said, is part of the photo a retinal scan? They said, I don't know, but I think so. Like, it's basically biometrics photo. I was like, oh, right, biometrics photograph. I'm pretty sure it's taking a fairly deep snapshot of my retina. They have special laptops with special cameras that have got like 7, 8K, powerful, cameras that can like zoom in on your eye, right? Think of the level of cameras that we're talking about. So I'm pretty sure that with a phone camera, without the AI that we are used to that's governing our marketed handsets, but the proper handsets that they use, right? The proper cameras that they use to scan us won't just be an AI make you look pretty camera. It'll be a camera that really uses the utility of that camera to be able to look at small things. And now, the piggy in the middle. We haven't even mentioned, Gaz. 1984 is happening right now, man. It's sad. It's funny. Mooney, those damn face scans. Like I will not do it. I have held out as much as I can. Everyone's staring at the screen right now. And Apple, by the way, did you know that Apple takes an infrared screenshot of your every 2 seconds? So for all you know, there's a retinal scan every 2 seconds with an iPhone, and an Apple. I think it's the computers, desktops as well, or the notebooks, laptops. I've seen people testing it and showing with a black light that it is happening, and going into the developer settings, and you actually cannot deactivate that very easily. I think some people said that you might be able to deactivate it in certain ways, but it's not simple. They don't want you to deactivate it. So, I didn't know you were allowed to. Well, good on you, Mooney. Good on you. Yeah, escape the matrix. Speaking about the matrix is the web, right? And the web will control the matrix in our minds. And the matrix in our minds will control the matrix around us. So this entire matrix of physical reality is an expression of the consciousness field. And if the matrix in our mind is being manipulated by the matrix of the web through our eyes in the most invasive ways, they will have a certain amount of control over the physical reality around us. I want you to think about the implications of what this really means. We're talking about the ability to manifest. They'll be able to hijack your ability to manifest and force your unconscious to manifest the things that they want to manifest on your behalf. And that's like a pretty scary thought. So there's one more place there's one more rock to dig under. And this is the rock that's covering the most shit. So, guys, get your nose pegs on. Time for the nose pegs, because this is going to get pretty stinky. Let's look at the matrix that we're living in, this physical reality, which is a hyperdimensional reality of consciousness expressing this physical form that we're in as a delayed response of experience. But actually, the etheric field is what we're experiencing through the astral field of energy. And these two interactions between the astral and the etheric fields are what produces the semblance of a sense of reality. And that becomes a crystallized form of reality as an after effect. But we experience that retrospectively, literally retrospectively. It takes the brain a certain amount of time to generate that information and to render through the parietal lobes this dream of reality that we think we're living in. And that's the matrix. That's the real matrix. The real matrix is the dream that we're experiencing through our parietal lobes, which is retrospectively creating a fantasy reality that seems to correlate with all of the sensory data that we're gaining after the sensory data of hearing, sight, taste, and touch and thought going through the thalamus and being reprogrammed by the thalamus, or its language changed, and the thalamus is under control of the pineal. And this then gets moved into the parietal lobes, where the dream of reality is concocted. There is one more factor, the factor of smell, which does not go through the thalamus. It bypasses the thalamus. It goes straight back to the base root of the brain, the animal lizard part of our psyche, and that wires directly into the parietal lobes, giving us a very powerful instinctual sense of smell. I want to ask you, have you ever wondered why it's so important that we are using this unleaded fuel? And why so many chemicals are in our soaps, our toothbrushes, the cleaning products that we use to clean our home, all scented with weird chemicals. And what the scent on those chemicals often are airborne things that stick to your cells on your nose and cover them up so that you can't smell. Something else to think about. The hijacking of the matrix reality has a lot to do with shutting down the sense of smell. Think about that for a moment. Next time you put on cologne or body spray or make yourself smell nice, it's better to just not put on any spray and just wash better. Rather than putting on body spray, wash in the morning and wash in the evening. And if you must, put a bit of essential oil into a base carrier oil and rub it on your body and smell like frankincense. It's pretty good. And that doesn't actually cover up the smell follicles. It actually gets absorbed into it. And it becomes integrated into your system. It's actually healthy. It improves your sense of smell and improves your skin. The squamous epithelial tissue that lines the inside of your nose will be improved and conditioned by the frankincense, for example. So, because micro bubbles of it will float up into the air. That's what you smell, the terpenes. And there'll be like little residuals of the oil. And the carrier oil, as well as the frankincense oil, residual amounts of it will be attached to these little terpenes that touch your nose and will dissolve on the nose and be absorbed into the system. It's incredible when you think about how the system works. So how does this relate to, and this is probably the scariest part, turning you into a cyborg? Think about the research necessary for them to be able to fuse biology with machinery. Do you think there's going to be a lot of issues where biology is rejecting machinery? I think so. I think the calibration of the machinery would have to be very carefully calibrated towards your specific, unique biology. And in order for them to learn about the calibration of their mechanical computer chips and whatever else they want to stick into our heads and parts of our body, they'll need to have a very detailed map of our physiology, our hormonal systems, and our neurological systems. And they'll be able to backward engineer our neurological mind map by looking at the iris and understanding the personality traits and how our psychology is reflecting the neural mapping system into our personality traits, which is being reflected by the physiology of our organs. Because there's a synergy. Chinese medicine is very clear, Ayurveda is very clear that there is a relationship between the organs, the personality traits, and our neural mapping. So if you can understand the organs and the personality traits by looking at the eye, you can get an idea of the neural mapping. And getting an understanding of the neural mapping means it will be easier for them to calibrate their computer chips, their hardware, their technology, and to be able to interface it with our biological systems. Because no biological system is going to have the same reaction to particular forms of technology being inserted into it. They'll probably be able to know which biological systems have a better success rate with what kind of technology being implanted into it. And they'll be able to calibrate the specific biological, technological fusion for what is optimally to be accepted by your physiological systems and your neural pathways. I want you to think about that for a moment. So the amount of information and power we're giving them when we allow them to look at our eyes, to take our biometrics, will give them the power that they need to be able to take their next level approach to actually integrating physiology and machinery to the level where it will become practical and functional. They'll be able to put it onto the market, start selling at wholesale. So there is something to think about. There is something very serious to consider, that the transhumanist movement is waiting for our biometric data. And we all need to be on a single biometric server, right? Where there's super intelligence AI governing all of our biometric information and observing the way in which our physiology reacts to different frequencies of light. Think about the testing potential. And every time you look into that camera to get access to your computer or your phone, it will be hitting you with a slightly different frequency of light. I'm sure they can calibrate it. Different mix of different light dots, until they notice that certain patterns affect your brain waves and your irises in a particular way. And then the phones and the systems will be also wired into your heart rate, wired into your physiology, right? So you got this health meter. Do you see why we have health meters on our phones? It's not for our own good, right? It's so that these systems can be collecting information on us. And the biometrics is the cherry on the top of the cake that will give them the broad vision to be able to map all of our systems, psychological systems, physiological systems, into a database where they can get a profound overview of the individual. Also, for the management of policing, which individuals are going to be troublesome, they'll have all that information. Which ones are going to be more like sheeples, which ones are going to follow and shut up and do what they're told, which ones can be coerced with fear, which ones can be coerced with anger, right? So the AI can affect you in a different way. If you have a weakness towards anger, it can hit you with stuff that makes you angry, media. If you have an issue with fear, it can hit you with stuff that triggers your fear. That's a fast way to make you sick. Sclerosis, liver disease, too much anger, right? Paranoia, liver, kidney problems, right? Fear. So there's a lot of ways. If you have a propensity towards being, let's say your heart, then you will have a likelihood for being anxiety and anxiousness if there's an issue there. If not, you'd be pretty peaceful and pretty chilled. You know your heart's really well-tempered when someone tries to give you a fright, and you don't get much of a fright because your heart's in a state of peace. But if somebody walks around the corner and you go, huh, that means there's a level of anxiety in your unconscious and your heart is telling you about it. So you need to start paying attention to your physiology and how your psychology is expressing your physiology, because it's really important to get a sense of who you are, and knowledge is power. Either we can use that knowledge and become more powerful in recognizing our weaknesses and our strengths and our attributes, or we can give all that information away to the evil AI gods. So what do you guys think? That's like pretty much what's on my mind. Did I leave anything out? I must have. I probably left out loads of stuff. Behold, come quickly, Inri. Now I get time to. No stopping you now. Quantum computing is slow. Yeah. You never seen that future. I've seen the nightmare the world was living in and their lives, and ensure no one in the world lives like this again. Hey, D-Love, how you doing? I saw you earlier. Hope you're well. Hope you're having a good day. Hope you're smiling. Probably an easy step to the technological implants. Exactly, D-Love. Exactly. And we're giving that free research and free information away to these big tech corporations so that they can use it to enslave us. I mean, we don't have to. We can order vitamins and minerals designed to our distinct DNA and blood types. Yeah, there is that. We just need to know what we need to get that knowledge ourselves, because we won't be able to trust Google anymore. Google doesn't always tell the truth. For now, there's a certain amount that you can trust Google with. And absolutely. Can human bodies generate or transmit collectible energy? Of course they can. Carly, just getting back to Carly's question from like 9 minutes ago. Yeah, 10 minutes ago. Of course they can, and they do, right? We're generating electrical potential right now. And the electrical potential is generated by chemical reactions. And the chemical reactions are generated by mineral movement and alchemy, which is a result of electrical transmutation through heat energy and our hormonal systems managing the load. It's an interesting concept. So our hormonal systems are structuring our molecules of our body. And as per the structuring of this by the hormones, everything else is happening on a metabolic level. And that metabolic level is turning the chemical energy into kinetic potential and heat energy within the cells. In fact, electricity. And if you were to say that electricity was light, I would be correct. So our cells are generating their own internal light, electrical energy, not just potential, electrical energy. And that electrical energy moves through all of the cells like a grid, permeating through the membranes of all of the cells. And there needs to be a base rate electrical frequency and electrical potential for the cells to remain healthy and to maintain integrity. And by raising that electrical potential, we become stronger, immune, healthier, and raise our human potential psychically, spiritually, within all different parameters. It's all based upon electrical. Now, these electrical fields are expressing electromagnetic resonant fields running through our systems and around our bodies. And they are interfacing with our surroundings. And on very deep and very profound levels, we've got the hormonal frequencies that are resonating up in high gigahertz, right? Then we've got the DNA, or high megahertz. And I think, do the hormones go to gigahertz? Hormonal resonant frequencies between 100 megahertz and 1 gigahertz. Am I going too far? I just want to check. There is no specific evidence that hormonal resonant frequencies. So they haven't. So hormonal resonant frequencies refer to the concept that specific sound waves, electromagnetic fields, or vibrational tones can influence and synchronize a human endocrine activity. Hold on. You see, they're playing with me. Hormones are vibrating at what frequency? Because it's all based on atoms, right? The hormones are made out of atoms. Hormones are chemical messengers moved from, okay, so hormones are molecules made of atoms. That are vibrating. You got to play with AI. Yes, hormones are chemical messenger molecules built from atoms, and those atoms are constantly in motion. Okay. And what typical frequencies, you've got to really play with, do these related to human hormones vibrate at? So it tried to tell me a minute ago that hormones are not vibrating. So I'm going to show you guys something here. You're going to love this. This is just an explanation for just how screwed up Google is, right? If Google thinks you don't know because you asked a question too generically, it will lie. Okay. So I want you to read this. I want you guys with me. I want you guys to enjoy what you're going to see here. So this is Google. Human hormone molecules vibrate across a broad electromagnetic spectrum, typically ranging from 0.3 to 100 terahertz. To what? 100 terahertz. To 10 to the 14 hertz. Okay. Wow. This spans the far infrared, mid infrared, and terahertz regions. So notice they don't say the blue, they say the infrared. Right. So I want us to just get this in our head. Human hormone molecules vibrate across broad electromagnetic spectrum. Right? I want you guys to remember that, because look at what Google said to me when I asked it. Look at what it said here. Are you guys paying attention? Hormones do not vibrate at a specific frequency. In human biology, hormones are chemical messengers moved by the blood flow, not acoustic or electromagnetic waves. Do you see how evil the Google AI is? I want you to understand. It's telling me that hormones are not electromagnetic waves. I didn't ask if hormones were electromagnetic waves. I asked, hormones are vibrating at what frequency? But when I said to the AI, hormones are molecules made of atoms that are vibrating at what typical frequencies do these related to human hormones vibrate at? And I've left out the V. Vibrate at. And then it gave me the answer of human hormone molecules vibrate across a broad electromagnetic spectrum, 0.3 to 100 terahertz. So human hormone molecules vibrate across a broad electromagnetic frequency versus hormones do not vibrate at a specific physical frequency. Now, is it just me, or is that damn AI trying to lie to me? And you guys saw it. You saw it here with your own eyes. So think about that next time you are using your Google AI. Realize that it's a bloody liar, and it's out to mislead you, and it will plant words carefully, if you're not like really paying attention to what it's saying, and notice, you added that word, but I didn't ask that. I asked that. Oh, but you're answering that question. That's not the question I asked. I asked that question. And when you finally force AI into a corner, it has to tell you what's going on. When you give it all the data sets that it requires, that it cannot ooze out, because it's basically telling you in the one breath that hormones don't vibrate, and then it's telling you in the next breath that hormones do vibrate. Literally in the one line. You cannot even make this up. So there's an idea of how hormones vibrate, right? And the vibration of these hormonal fields, back to our story, Carly, what we were talking about here, is resonating through the DNA field as well. And you have this quantum tunneling through the DNA field, which is outside of time. I want you to think about this. Quantum tunneling, we did this in previous lives. Quantum tunneling is connecting different different field potentials outside of time. That means something can be vibrating in phase with something in two different time zones. That means that the energy of the body can be resonating through the DNA field. And I wouldn't be surprised if hormones can generate quantum tunneling. Hormones have been seen to generate quantum tunneling like DNA does. Let's see. No, hormones do not generate. Okay, no. Let's check the word generate out. Hormones have to be seen to show quantum tunneling. While quantum tunneling of protons happens in DNA hydrogen bonds, hormones themselves do not show quantum tunneling in the same structural way. Okay, so the quantum tunneling we know is happening through the DNA. Instead, quantum tunneling is hypothesized to play a localized role in enzyme regulation or receptor binding. Let me give you this screen, guys. I want you to see it for yourselves, just so you can have an idea of the question that you were asking, Carly, and just how relevant and how important it is. So while quantum tunneling of protons happens in DNA hydrogen bonds, right, hormones themselves do not show, okay, I like that word, okay, quantum tunneling in the same structural way that DNA does. Fair enough. It's indirect. Instead, quantum tunneling is hypothesized to play a localized role in enzyme regulation or receptor binding events that process hormone signals. So the processing of hormone signals, right, in the act of receptor binding. I'll give you a classic example. You smoke the good herb of cannabis and the THC attaches itself to your THC receptors, and wham bang, we've got some kind of quantum tunneling effect going on, ladies and gentlemen. I think I'm in a quantum tunnel. I'm seeing colors. But there's an example of what we're talking about here that probably most of you that are watching this show have experienced, but it's just food for thought to think about how the hormonal systems and the DNA systems are producing quantum tunneling. And you guys can go and Google the quantum tunneling that does and can act outside of the time that we are in right now, because the closer you get to the singularity, right, when we're going into the quantum, the closer you get to the singularity, the fractal of time-space changes, the geometry of time-space changes. And this has got to do with the structuring of time. And so the idea is that if you can get to the point of the singularity, there is no time. This is like what we're talking about, the theories of black holes and such. So there is something to think about. There is something for you guys to digest. I hope you guys are all digesting it happily and having a good old chunk on this. But I would say, like, what we're talking about here is really finger to the pulse, really, really, really fundamentally important. I don't think we could be having a much more important conversation, if I'm going to be honest with you. Because when we really think about it, we've got to start, taking stock. We've got to start taking stock. We've got to start looking at the reality. We've got to start paying attention to just exactly where we are at and get an idea of the structuring of what we're dealing with. In terms of what we think is real and what we think is fundamental, what we think is a dream or a fantasy. Because I think our dreams and our fantasies can be affected through affecting our eyes. And I think these cameras that are looking at our eyes through our phones are all wired into AI. And they could be reflecting different frequencies of light onto our eyes. So we've got to be aware of how our consciousness can be affected by all of this invasive technology. And also start, taking stock of the fact that these biometric passports and these biometric IDs that we're all being forced to get are having, they could have alternative agendas. And I'm just showing you guys just some more information to really look at things from an alternative perspective and really use the science that we've got available to us and branch out from there and go deeper, boldly go where no one has gone before. Think of Star Trek if you're going to think of anything. Think of, we come in peace. Think of Spock, right? Good old-fashioned Spock with the mind-mild technology. There's got to be more. Life force energy harvesting. Thank you, Carly. This is really what I'm getting at. Yeah. If the life force energy is being harvested, I want you to recognize what I'm saying. The electrical potential in the cells would reflect that. So what is your typical electrical potential in a cell? What is a typical electrical potential in a healthy cell? Okay, so let's crank this up. This is it. This is the last one, ladies and gentlemen. After this, the Bush Whisperer will be taking the day off. So let's go to what is the typical. Make sure you guys are seeing the picture. There we go. So, okay. Typical electrical potentials across the membrane of a healthy cell. Resting membrane potential is about 40 millivolts to 80 millivolts, with 70 millivolts being common for many animal, nerve, and muscular cells. Right. Now, that was spelled wrong. Now, of a sick or weak cell. Sick or weak cell. So, do you notice the difference? I want you guys to just look at this. A sick, weak, or aging cell typically has a depolarized electrical membrane potential, dropping from a healthy resting voltage of 70 to 19 millivolts down to 10 to 50 millivolts, right? So a healthy electrical potential is 70 to 90 millivolts, and a sick is 10 to 50. And that is when your energy is being drained out of your body. So when we're talking about the harvesting of energy, all these people are going to come to talk to you about loosh and loosh this and loosh this. And they think they're talking about metaphors. And they think they're talking about, no, this is a physical vibrational field that you can be measuring using our equipment that we have now. They've hidden this from us. They have hidden it from us. And there is a component of acoustic resonance that comes with that electrical potential. Your acoustic resonance gets weaker and your aura gets smaller. That's really what's going on. That is really what's going on. So absolutely, to your really lovely question, dear Collie, you know, I think it's important for us to, why am I having a trouble with this chat? This chat not working very well for the Bush Whisperer. This chat not working very well for the Bush Whisperer at all. So yeah, as for life field harvesting, there you go. You can take a look at it. The writing's on the wall. When cellular energy, right? So I don't know if those of you that did like baseline genetics in high school, you would have learned about this. When cellular energy, ATP, fails, the sodium potassium pumps slow down, allowing positive sodium ions to flood the inside and reduce electrical charge. Right. Now, positive sodium ions. Do you guys want to ride this wave, baby? Oh, ride the wave of the Bush Whisperer. He's going to talk to you about positive sodium ions. Okay. So, do anaerobic bacteria prefer to negative ones? Sodium ions, prefer presence. The presence of. Okay, so are you guys paying attention? Illness. Please pay attention, people. This is cutting edge. And remember, you heard this here with the Bush Whisperer. I've never seen anyone else ever talk about this stuff before because they don't know. They don't think for themselves. They don't know. They didn't do the math. They're just reading the same crap that everybody else is reading. They're reading the same occult books and quoting and reading from the same generic shite that everybody else. And they're not thinking for themselves, using their own melons to figure out what it means when you look at the established knowledge. Sorry, I'm having a rant. Yes, anaerobic bacteria and virtually all living cells specifically utilize and require the positive sodium ions, as negative sodium ions do not exist in a stable chemistry under biological system conditions. However, the standard sodium ion is positively charged cation formed by losing an electron. Right. Now, when we look at the anaerobes, okay, let's take this to relationship between sodium positive ions and presence. The relationship between presence. I'll get there. And positive hydrogen ions in a living system. Between the presence, the presence. I hope I'm using the right terminology. Okay, so in living systems, the sodium positive ions and the hydrogen positive ions are closely linked through membrane transport proteins called sodium hydrogen exchanges, right? So these proteins use a positive charged Na and a positive charged hydrogen, right? Now, let's go and say relationship between anaerobic microbes and positive hydrogen ions. Okay. Okay, so I want you guys to understand what I'm trying to show you guys here. And this is very relevant to what we read a minute ago. So positive hydrogen ions, which is linked through sodium hydrogen exchanges. So there is a synergetic relativity between sodium positive ions and hydrogen positive ions through the sodium hydrogen exchanges in the proteins that push the positive into cells and push the positive hydrogen out of cells. I hope you're paying attention. And the positive that's pushed out of the cells becomes a factor that drive anaerobic microbial metabolism. I hope you guys are paying attention. It drives anaerobic microbial metabolism. Now, what was it that we said just a minute ago? What was it we said just a minute ago? Right? When the electrical potential in a cell drops between 10 and 50 millivolts, microvolts. Is it micro? Millivolts. Well, I think it's millivolts. Anyway, very small. But the difference is between 70 and 90 to 10 to 50. So it's a considerable drop. The cellular energy ATP fails. The sodium potassium pumps slow down, allowing positive sodium ions to flood inside and reduce the electrical charge. Are you paying attention? Sodium positive ions. And it floods the inside to reduce electrical charge. When the sodium positive is flooding to the inside, right? The hydrogen is flooding to the outside, right? Because that's the relationship that they have. And that drives anaerobic microbial metabolism. Now, anaerobic microbial metabolism is what is part and parcel of anaerobic bacteria. An anaerobic bacteria is what we call an infection. So you drop the electrical potential in your cells, you open yourself up to all sorts of microbial issues and bacterial issues, and you become weak and you become sick, and you're no longer going to live very long. That electrical potential. Now, back to what Carly was talking about. Life force harvesting is literally draining the electrical potential from your cells. Now, we're going to do another little bit of a fun little adventure, right? When you have 70, let's say a healthy cell is 90 millivolts. Okay? Let's say you're very healthy and you're young and you're fit and you got 90 millivolts. Okay, so 90 millivolts is 0.09 volts, right? I just want you guys to see. Okay, so we're talking about 0.09 volts. 0.09 volts. I just want you to look. Okay. 0.09 volts. Right. Now I'm going to show you guys. This is some cool shit, man. You only get this at the Bush Whisperer, dude. You only get this at the Bush Whisperer. I hope you guys are going to appreciate this. Times 60 trillion. I don't even know what that number means. What does that mean as a number? No, sorry. What does that mean as a number? Written in prose. Okay. So 5,400,000,000,000. So it's 5.4 trillion. Are you guys paying attention? Right? So each cell has electrical potential of 90 M volts if cell is healthy. Right. So a healthy cell maintains a resting membrane potential of roughly 70 to 90 million volts. So if you can harness, oh, sorry, did I not give you guys this image? Did I not give it to you? Did I not give it to you? Did I not give it to you, baby? Did I not give it to you, baby? Okay, so there we go. That number, 5 4e plus 12, which we got from this calculation, which is 0.9 volts, 0.09 volts, which we determined 90 millivolts is 0.09 volts. Yes, 90 millivolts is equal to 0.09 volts. Okay, so we then took 0.09 and we multiplied it by the 60 trillion cells in the human body, because each cell has a potential of 0.09 millivolts. And we got to this ridiculous number here, right? That's what the maths told us. Then we had Google explain to us, like, what the hell does that mean, right? And what does that number, as a number written in prose, mean? And it said to us 5.4 trillion volts. So there's a potential, there's a lot of voltage that can be taken from the human body. Just wanted you guys to think about it. Each cell has within it potential, and we don't realize. Now, it might not add up to a potential. Realize that these are not wired in parallel. Okay, now remember when you wire something in series or parallel, when you wire things in parallel, it gives you a powerful potential all at once. But when you wire things in series, it just gives you a long potential. Like if you wire all your batteries, it will still give you the same amount of voltage potential, but it will just give you a long life. So that voltage can be drained over a long period of time, basically. That's the difference between series and parallel, as I understood it in school. If there are any of you that know better, please do tell me. But anyway, there's an idea for you guys to think about when we talk about the harvesting of Lush, and we talk about the harvesting of energy, and how energy can be harvested by beings, and that these beings, right? Yep, trillions Trillions, baby. Trillions. Okay, that number doesn't give you an accurate potential of what can be drawn from the body at any one point in time. I want you to understand that because it's all wired in series. However, some of it I think is wired in parallel. I don't know how it's wired, like how it runs through the system. But anyway, there's just a lot of electrical potential within the human body that isn't accounted for. And those electrical potentials are what keeps the cells together, is what keeps everything functioning healthy. And when that electrical potential falls down, right? So when the standard base rate potential, right, which is 5.4 trillion, falls to under 2 trillion, you get sick. You get very, very, very sick. And when you get that sick, your body starts pushing out positive hydrogen ions because the cells are pulling in all of the positive sodium ions, because the cells breathe in sodium ions and they push out hydrogen ions. That's the respiration cycle electrically of the cells. And those hydrogen ions being pushed out, those positive hydrogen ions, become a catalyst for anaerobic microbes and bacteria to thrive. And the anaerobic microbes and bacteria are not the aerobic ones. And so you need to have a balance between the anaerobic, because the anaerobic is what eats away at things you saw. So what is cancer? You could say that cancer is an abundance of anaerobic activity in the body, right? And it's eating away at itself, right? And so it's generating the wrong kind of aerobic cells and eating too many anaerobic. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a cancer specialist, but I'm just saying there's something for us to think about. There's something for us to consider, because if each cell has that potential running across its membrane, and we consider how many batteries, it's like if I say I've got one 2-volt battery, that's a cell. We literally call it a cell. If I've got 60 trillion of those batteries, you could say, well, you've got the potential of 2 volts times 60 trillion, right? If that makes sense, Carly. But you can't wire that up to give you 60 trillion volts and run a power. You can't run a city on that. But those batteries would last you really, really long for a lot of cameras, for example, or a lot of alarm clocks, or whatever you use your batteries for. You know, remotes for your car or your garage or your television or whatever. But yeah, so it's very, very interesting. Well, each cell generates 0.09 millivolts across its membrane, and it has that frequency. And that frequency is generated by the activity in the cell, the metabolism. And it releases that energy, which is what powers the body, right? Because the body's got a lot going on. There's a lot happening. There's kinetic action happening. There's the lungs is moving things, it's moving cables, it's opening the lungs, pulling in air, it's taking the air, turning the air into this, it's pulling this out of the air, it's pushing that out, it's cleaning that, it's taking this in, it's breaking down these hormones, it's breaking down those to build other hormones, it's using those to produce different kinds of microbes, it's using this to power different systems, right? It's got to take food, it's got to break the food down, it's got to generate electrical potential, it's got to generate chemical potential to break down the atomic structure of food, and then after breaking it down, it's got to take out different minerals, and it's got to be burning sugar while it's doing all of this. It's got to be managing its sugar levels. It's got to be managing its temperature levels through the system. It's got to keep kinetic processes moving through the body. Fluids have got to be moving throughout the entire system constantly. This is osmosis. This is based upon electrical potential as well, and the salt potential moving the water through because of the dielectrical potential within the salt, and I mean within the water, as the water moves between salt membranes. And this is important for this electrical process because the water moving through the cells maintains the it's like a flow. Like, it makes you think about those ancient electrical power stations where they had water under the ground, and they talk about how they had moving water and they were tapping energy off of the moving water. So this is what our cells are doing. So whoever figured out those power stations were looking at the cells and going, well, that's interesting. The body's doing that. We can do that. And we can turn our electricity on above the ground on a big level, doing what the cells are doing on a small level. But yeah, bottom line, Carly, there's a lot going on in the body, and it's using a lot of energy that we're not even cognizant of. And it's a consistent circus of metabolism. So yeah, I mean, there's food for thought. I've gone over the 2-hour limit. I could just kick myself. I should have broken it off, because now I cannot share this as a live. Dang, dangleberries. Anyway, sending you all big love, big blessings. It's been an honor chatting with you guys. I hope it's been here to produce more questions and more ideas in your brain, get you thinking about things in a different way. And cancer and serial killers, man. You got to kill the cereal to kill cancer. The cancer's in the cereal. Do not eat cereal. That's bottom line. Be careful what cereal you eat. And be very serious about eating cereal. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this little chit chat. Sending you all big love, big blessings, peace, honor, and respect. Thank you, Gaz. It went further and deeper than I planned. I was planning to just do it for an hour, and then I thought 90 minutes, and bang, 2 hours happened. Sending you all big love and big blessings. Om Namah Shivaya. And don't forget to smile, because life is just so beautiful when you smile. It lights up everybody else's lives. So let's go out and light up the world. Let's not get low. Let's not get down. Yeah, the world is a bit of a shithole. People are often shitheads. But we can make the world better, and we can help the shitheads to wash their faces. If we help them to smile at themselves and maybe laugh at themselves and realize what shitheads they've been. And maybe become less of a shithead ourselves in the process. Sending you all big love and big blessings.